coming from Lafayette, and of course, Joy has something to do in her district, and she's on her way. So we'll go ahead and start. This is a public forum, which we're going to look at the open container law and what the public thinks about the open container law. But before we start, I'd like to just point out a few things dealing with Mardi Gras overall. Since I'm the mayor and overseeing all this, then I would just like to give y'all a few little things concerning it. Church Point Courier de Mardi Gras run is entering its 56th year. It's traditional occasion Mardi Gras run, and it's part of the area's history and culture. One of the few remaining Mardi Gras runs in the area. I would say in the last 10 years or so, it has grown with the addition of floats and trailers. The number of parade goers and spectators has also grown by large numbers. We've had a big increase in the number of people that are coming to the Mardi Gras. Not all parade goers or spectators are causing the problems, but a few are making it bad for all the rest. So when we're discussing this, kind of keep that in mind. It's not every parade goer that's causing the problem. There's some of them. These are some of the complaints I received at City Hall. Some of the complaints: destruction of private property by basically parade goers. Vulgarity, disrespect to business owners and private property owners by parade goers. And of course, another complaint that I received was the fact of underage drinking, basically by parade goers again. Now, as far as the town, this is the duties of the town. What part do we play? The first thing, once the run of the parade enters the town, they must all follow town laws and ordinances. And the city police should enforce these laws and ordinances. The second thing, the street department actually puts out and picks up barricades before and after the events. The street department also handles all cleanup of town property. We cannot go on private property. So everything is cleaned up in the town. Cleanup is done the Sunday night of the Mardi Gras, weather permitting, of course. It is usually 90% complete by Monday morning. We basically get Main Street and a few of the side streets where the parade route normally takes place. And for some of you that haven't seen, I was with them last year, and they worked from basically 8 o'clock, and they finished at 2:30 in the morning. Okay? Picking up trash. Now, what we need to see, the problems is we need to see more law enforcement. We all know that one of the problems, we don't have enough law enforcement, and we need this. Okay? And with that, I will turn it over to anyone who would like to speak. Now, this is the way we're going to run this little forum. We're going to give you 2 minutes at the podium. You can get up and speak at the podium concerning the open container law, basically for 2 minutes. And when 2 minutes are up, I'll make a signal and that'll be it. Mr. Dale Thibodeau is going to be the clock operator. And so I'd ask anyone who would like to get up and make a comment or comments, please do so. Okay? There shouldn't be any interruptions when this person is speaking. If you have a comment that you'd like to make, basically raise your hand. We will let you go to the podium and make your comment, okay? Any volunteers first? Okay, Mr. Emperor.
That would be a good idea to stop the to put the open container on the street. I believe it would help a whole lot. And last year I got hit on my property. I just couldn't stop nobody passing that was walking the back street that was coming through, and I couldn't stop them at all. And that was the biggest crowd across the street and in the front of my house. And I know we don't have enough law in town. If a cop happens to catch one, you ought to give him a ticket and put a fine on that. Can't catch everybody though, and they will keep on. And to my knowledge, you ought to go on Channel 10 and tell them that we got a law in town code. And newspaper, I don't believe that everybody read newspaper. Watching the news, they do. And that would be a good idea to my knowledge. Okay.
Mayor. So what, sir? Sir. His name.
Emery Shaw.
Thank you, sir.
He lives across the street from Sonic.
Oh, okay.
I live across from Sonic.
Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Richard. Anybody else would like to make a comment? Yeah.
I agree with him about talking to the news channels because people don't read the newspaper. Our big concern, we have floats, we're in it. Country's no problem at all. Once we get into town, the people are on the float. They walking up to our floats. We're so scared to run over somebody. And there are barricades in some places, but not the main big areas where there's so many people. And it's terrible. We're scared to death, especially after what happened in Abbeville, that little baby. And I mean, I've heard other people with floats saying they got stuff ripped off of them from people. And we try to push people back, but there's not much you can do. And another thing that we're concerned about is we like to take a left at the bank and get out of town. We don't like to come back through town. It's too hard. Everything's so congested. And every year, we have to make people move. And one year, they did try to make us all turn that way, which we liked. We thought was great, but it never continued. It was only that 1 year. So that's our big concerns. Are there going to be more barricades this year or any year in the future?
As of right now, Karen Crow loans us the barricades, and we have a few, and they are supposed to be letting us have basically the same amount. If we can get more, he's going to let me know.
That would be great. And like our main thing is from Sonic on down to the bank. That's where we have so much trouble.
But last year, man, people from Sonic blocked the street, the float couldn't pass.
Yeah, I believe
I was in my yard, I
Yeah.
seen all of that.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I don't know what else, besides maybe the cops on motorcycles running up and down, pushing people backwards. I don't know what, that or barricades.
Okay. What's your name, ma'am?
Nicole Gendry.
Nicole Gibson. Okay. Anybody else?
All the people they have here, how many incidents we had last year? I think it's been pretty good for the last couple of years.
We've been blessed.
Yes,
We had a few, a couple of them were arrested in fights and all that.
yeah,
We've been blessed, not major, put it there.
80,000 people,
No, it's about 30.
pretty good. If you start banning stuff, it's gonna go away. I know the drunks, alcohol is not good. I'm an alcoholic, so I know. But And the kids, I think if you see somebody looks of age, you check it. I don't know how else to stop it. I think if you end up cutting all this out, then the town will have water at all. I think it's a good thing for the town myself. For one day a year,
What is your name, sir?
Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Just need to figure out a way to make the parents responsible for their underage children. Period, cut and dry, that's it. I mean, when it's out of town, the deputy's out of town, aren't they? Doesn't it fall under their jurisdiction? When it's out of the city limits, the deputies are in charge?
Yeah.
When he gets into town, the police have it? How many underage were written up for drinking last year?
Where to start at, put it that way.
Well, I know you can't get them
So
all.
many people,
I know you can't get them all, but if you get 5 here, 3 here, 4 there, sooner or later they're gonna get the message.
now the ABC board usually come for thing. It's like part of the seat, like she was commenting, we'll open up the crowd, and as soon as that float passes, it closes up again.
I'm not talking about that, that's not,
You know,
I know that's a problem. I'm talking specifically about underage drinking. That's it, because we deal with it. You know, it's kind of bad when you're getting cursed out and things being thrown at you by your students. When something can be done about it. All you gotta do is, I don't know if you're gonna arrest them, if you're gonna give them a ticket, but something needs to be done with underage drinking.
Could you have an age limit on the, people on the floats?
No questions, please. You can go back later on.
I mean, that's the only thing, it's bad. I mean, they're talking about it already in school, because they know nothing's gonna be done. They're gonna be the ones that are staggering down the street, they're gonna be the ones that are hanging on the floats. And I've been helping with Mardi Gras for years. 7 o'clock in the morning, they're drunk. You know, and it, I don't know, I know you, if I have a fight at school and there's 10 of them fighting, I might not catch all 10, but I catch 5.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. Bellard.
Thank you, Mr. Bellard.
Next.
2 minutes is not gonna be enough time for me to speak, but I am gonna address the underage drinking. Last year, there was one child that was brought into the police department for underage drinking because they saw it. Child was drunk. They thought it was an adult. Whenever that child got to me and I asked his age, he was 15 years old. I got his father's phone number, and it took 4 hours for his father to come from another town to get his kid who's drunk in Church Point. Parent didn't even know the child was here. We are 17 officers. There's no way that we can handle a crowd of 30,000.
That's right.
It's not possible. We must have handled 30 plus fight calls before the parade even rolled through Church Point. And I can pull the radio log for y'all and back up what I'm telling you.
30,
At least 30 fight calls.
30 flights, how many people?
Well, if we want to go there, y'all really don't want me to go. I'm not the person to go there with, because I would say some things that y'all don't want the public to.
Please go there.
Y'all really don't want me to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Trust me, you don't trust me. Y'all want me to sit in my seat, because y'all will throw me out, and I'll be in the job tomorrow.
Okay? Anybody else?
For you guys that don't really necessarily know me, I'm Jeremy Fry, I'm assistant manager over at Fred's. We have concerns and basically security concerns for crowd control, things of that nature. As far as for the Mardi Gras, I know there is crowd control, the barriers, and things of that nature. And we're hoping the barriers are going to go back up in place, things of that nature. A couple of points that kind of tie along with that guy, the comments that the chief said. I agree that the police do their best to do what it was all with what they can handle. 17 officers versus 30,000. This place blows up. This place blows up, and I agree with that. The only thing we're having concerns over is security issues in the store. We're having a lot of security issues in the store when we do open later that day. We're having cleanliness issues in the store, undue cleanliness issues in the store, as in things of that nature. I don't want to necessarily go into that point, but I'm going to let y'all's mind wander. And we are planning on securing the restrooms in that store for Mardi Gras. Okay? So I just want to let you guys know that there's going to be no restrooms in the store to the public available for that day only because of the cleanliness issues. And that's something we just cannot handle as far as for the staff goes. As far as for our staff, we're at a minimum complement of staff in that store. By all intents and purposes, that's 2 people, minimum complement. And that is lucky to get someone to work on Mardi Gras. Okay, my biggest problem is that we don't have, our biggest problem is everyone wants to party. And I know I'm probably going to go a little bit earlier, I'm going to wrap this up. The other thing is the one last point I want to make to you guys is we want to try to push the barricades open to be set in place till 4 o'clock that afternoon, if at all possible. That's a request that we're trying to make. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, well then, understand. That's pretty much everything I can say. We will try to open that afternoon. Corporate wants us open. We, on the other hand, will not because we just talked about it. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Your name again?
Jared.
Anyone else?
Yeah, my mom just did a little bit. She said 17 people, but it's actually not 17 people. Because you got to subtract 4 dispatches, so not everybody is on the road from Mardi Gras. And a few reserves are coming up. And I mailed 20 letters out to a lot of departments. We'll be lucky if we get 10 people to come help us from other departments because everybody else has Mardi Gras the same as we do in church for. And they're not going to send their people to come help us. Last year we were just overwhelmed with all the people that was in town.
How many reserves and how many part-time?
We have some reserves, but you can't make them work through their volunteer. We have 1 part-time. And we have maybe. They'll help me out here.
We have 9 reserve, 9 part-timers and 18 full-timers.
And you figure some work at night. They work all night, they can do whatever you can.
That's lost with my class council. Yes, I like Mardi Gras, it's just I don't like what's happening in our town.
What people don't understand is the Mardi Gras, that it is the spectators you can't control. It's really I would actually volunteer that want to come spend a day.
Oh, y'all come help us, we appreciate it.
And see what we go through.
And I heard Tucson will have Mardi Gras this year on. And that's coming over here.
Dan Martin, you don't know.
We would love that you do. We would like for y'all to see what we go through, just one Mardi Gras. We would love y'all to come in our shoes and come with us and see. They know we maybe have a different perspective of what we go through.
Maybe it's okay, since Councilman Sherman is addressing, I just, quick question. Someone made the statement that with all the incidences that had occurred last year, there were no citations issued.
And if there were some,
And I'm not asking that question to unnecessarily put you on the spot. I'm asking it for information purposes. There were no citations issued.
There was some,
None recorded?
what it is that some were given, but you have out-of-town officers and they won't issue a citation, you know, because they don't want to go to court and all this.
Right.
They'll separate the problem or whatever.
So among our local officers, the local enforcement, how many tickets, how many citations would you guess? I see Mr. Dale saying
There was
2.
2 citations issued, there was 4 arrests, and there was 2 let out of jail and slapped on the hand.
So clearly, we have an issue with enforcement.
You said $1,000 bond, they don't want to step in the beat.
and on that, a lot of people say once they got to the police station, they don't know who did them. So how they gonna press charges on anybody if you arrest them? They never seen the people before in their life. Or they got snuck from behind. So, I mean,
cheat them.
we can go answer the call, but if they don't know who hit them, we can't just go arrest anybody in the crowd.
Just go to friends among friends, so one wants to, it's good.
Let me tell you what we used to have.
We arrested
You have to, you're arrested and you go to jail, you should have to post bond like everybody else. I mean, you shouldn't be let out just because of who you know. I mean,
That's
and as you walk out the
it's really
police
important
station,
you say that, because that, as I sit here, I'm actually concerned about the fact that the very department that our fun-loving, safe citizens who are enjoying Mardi Gras can't feel supported by the law enforcement
but
department.
the ones that walked out of jail
Mhm.
was some of our fun-loving, safe citizens. It wasn't riffraff from out of town. The one from riffraff from out of town had to pay. It was the fun-loving citizens that got let go out of jail and just walked out and laughed at the police that let them out.
Yes.
And that presents as another problem for our law enforcement officers, because how are they empowered to enforce the law
Exactly.
when there may be issues with support?
And the reason they were there, not just because fighting amongst themselves, one of them ran over an officer with a golf cart, and the other one punched the officer. So it's not because there was 2 relatives fighting.
And that individual actually
They walked out of jail and never came to court.
How is that?
And the officer was so upset that he quit his job over it.
Don't blame him. How is that?
And the reason the rest of us don't.
We can't allow them to get out.
My last thoughts about that is, when a community or society, when its body of government that is responsible for enforcing law, protect and serve, no longer feels empowered to do that, and the community can't feel that it's going to do that, then you're looking at a community or society that's about to implode. And we're going to have crime all over Church Point.
But we have it set at $1,000 bond plus, 8 hours.
Set or enforced, Chief?
Well, we put them in jail and enforce, but I don't have the authority to release anyway. So,
Who would typically be the one releasing?
Magistrate.
Okay,
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Ned?
If there is anybody here who doesn't know me, Ned Mullen. Alright? Been working this Mardi Gras for many years. Let me explain one thing to you. Number one, if you're working a traffic detail, how can you make an arrest? If you arrest this man, you're immediately responsible for him. You have to take him in, you have to book him. There's nobody to direct traffic. If you write a citation, when you're out there, this is the most intense situation you can have. You literally have a mob around you. You have to keep your eyes on everyone. If you stop to write a citation, you have to focus on who you're writing the citation for and what you're writing down. Normal situation, you have an officer with you, backing you up, who's watching your back. Out here, you don't have that. So it's very hard to do.
May I play devil's advocate and ask you a question?
Sure.
If as a legislative body, if we were to enforce the open container law, open container ordinance, and so they would not be allowed, juveniles would not be allowed to drink, how would you all, based on the number of individuals you currently have, how would you actually enforce that?
You can't. You have way too many people, they're gonna get those, they're not gonna pay any attention to you, they're just gonna take out their beer and drink.
So it would be rather unenforceable.
My opinion, yes. You can't enforce it because nobody's gonna, unless you start mass arrest, and then you're endangering of having a riot. This is the same thing, if you have one person you go to arrest, if he's got all his buddies around you, they're not gonna want their buddy arrested, they're all drunk.
Sure.
So there again, you're facing another problem, where if you don't have multiple officers with you, a lot of times the best thing we can do is try to maintain the peace, try to keep something like this from happening. I would suggest that maybe if y'all could come out and walk the parade route or ride the parade route and in town and see the huge crowds that we have to deal with, you get a better understanding of what's going on. And if there is one rule I'd like to see imposed, is not letting these horses turn around and go back against the parade. These horses see these floats coming and they start to edge towards the crowds. That's creating a huge problem. That's all I have to say.
Tell that lady, Sean, you wanna speak?
Hello, I'm sorry.
I know you had an issue last year.
I actually still have pictures from last year, but Mardi Gras Day used to be the most profitable the most profitable day for the business. No doubt, we stay open. Last year alone, that was by far the worst. We lost money. We usually do around 7,000 a day. We did 42 with damages, which is what I do on a busy Friday. With damages, it was complete loss. I had personally myself broke up 7 fights because they were damaging property and they had employees that were trying to pass to deliver orders and they were gonna hurt somebody. And a bunch of the fights were not just 1 or 2. One guy hit his head so hard on the concrete, like right on, like when the crops walk out, that little step up, it bounced back up and he was out. And then you turn, and there's 5 more guys running to beat somebody that's already down. My whole thing is, it's dangerous, I feel, for everybody. The property loss, I mean, if you look at the pictures, I lost all patio stalls. Now I have these new Pops menus, which are like $3,000 a pop, and I'm terrified because I have to pay it. And since I'm a managing partner, it comes out of my check. So I feel it's a hazard for my employees, my property. I mean, and nobody can keep track. It's either I would have broke up or tried to help. By the time a cop would have got there, either somebody would have been seriously hurt, more than what they already were, and I would have been liable because it was on my property, or one of my employees would have got hurt. They were throwing beer bottles, on concrete. Those 2 metal poles in the front and on the side, they had dug them completely up in their concrete into the ground. So, Visqueen, Visqueen and my menu boards is about, and buying barricades, because I've talked to Miss Karen about it, but she said she couldn't give me an answer at the moment, but $1,500 they're going to charge me for barricades for 50 of them. If I get them, outside, if I don't get any for that day.
Like, you have a solution that you're not gonna let anybody go on the property or?
They're going to come on, they can come on the lot, no vehicles. I'm going to talk to a tow guy, or somebody, either park by the lot, I'll feed you, but it's just, I'm going to have to pay for security guards, I'm going to have to pay for
barricade, it's just so much. To me, I feel like we might as well shut down at this point. Melanie Avenue. So, my opinion is either try to make it safer and more, it's kind of impossible. I mean, last year was bad. You couldn't see my patio. One of the girls took a picture from the float. She found it on Facebook or something, and it was like you saw no patio. It was just people. And then by the time they had left, everything was demolished. Like, my minions were pulled out, my plexiglass was broken, and so, but this year I have my new stalls, so now I'm kind of scared.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to mention, being a member of the Church Point Volunteer Fire Department, at times, in the last couple of years, we were unable to, it took so much time to go to an emergency, it was unreal. I know one time that from the fire department just to come over here, it took a half hour. In a half hour, that's a long time. Somebody, where you could try to help somebody with a half hour. Sometimes it's a little lax, and not only that, if you have to go, like from the fire department, you have to go across town, it's almost impossible. Or if you have to go, even Johnny lack here, or even by Sonny's Fried Chicken, it's almost impossible. So the only thing is, well, I'm saying that whatever happens, we definitely need to have an access to get to these different areas. Whatever the council comes up with,
Okay. Next.
My name's Curtis Gibbs. What I'm wondering is, does the city make that much money with the parade on that day?
No, sir.
Why don't y'all look at either killing the parade through town or have the parade early in the morning? Before the drunk get drunk. Something to think about. But I know us that I'm number 3 floats. Been there for quite a few years. And when you got people that jumping on your truck and hanging on the side of the trailer, I had one that jumped between the trailer and the truck one time. Just careful. And if you wait until 2 o'clock in the afternoon when these people get out there and get started drinking at 6 o'clock in the morning, by the time the parade starts, they're drunk.
Some are drunk in the heat.
Exactly, but they're drunk up.
Mr. Curtis, a good friend of mine, he retired from the city of Stockton. I know they had about, Mardi Gras parade. What kind of solution did you kind of?
Well, they borrowed and rented barricades from the city of Lafayette and other cities to barricade the main drag. That's where we had most of the congestion.
No parking no parking?
No, not through the main part of town. They could park out on the service roads and out on follow out that direction. But Westgate going through town.
Westgate, 92.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next.
I'm Stephen Hazen. I'd like to comment, every year we fight parking on Main Street. We are resident right here on Main Street. Every year we ask the city to do something. They tell us it's state police, and we need to do something for our parking. I'm a volunteer firefighter, part-time, auxiliary with the police department. And we have trouble every year. I leave in the middle of the night to go to a fire call, and I might not have a parking spot to get back home because they're parking their vehicle 2 weeks ahead of time. And talking about the same day with SLU, about medical. House fire, if we get it off the Dago, way back there, how long would it take to get one of them big fire trucks over there. And that's my only concern, our parking, and if we have something big, like a house fire or something, 30 minutes, an hour, they done lost their house. That's the only thing I gotta say.
What is your name, sir?
Stephen Hazel.
Mayor, man, is it okay to ask? Mr. Guidry? Is Mr. Guidry still here? Mr. Guidry, I have a question for you. You said something that I thought was really interesting. You said, and you participated in the parade. You are one of the float drivers. If there was an opportunity to reroute the parade, what would you suggest that we consider?
You don't have much place.
Turn my back on, I know before.
The only thing you can do is stop the parade 3 times.
Stop, and when you say stop it through town, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, you are referring to preventing the parade from rolling through Main Street?
The only route, the only
Yes, sir.
route you can have would be coming off of Shelbyville, take a right, take a left on 1104 when you get to Abbott. The Mardi Gras, go to the South Tramway, the Houston floats, take a right.
And does that Chief, would you just explain, would that completely eliminate any Mardi Gras
Yeah.
traffic from Main Street?
The Mardi Gras, they have their organization, right? So what happens when they get to 1104 and Abbott Street, they take a left, that's the horses. Maybe a bandwagon, a few of them. They take a left, they go to the South Track, have their gumbo, whatever. All floats take a right and they stand there because they come from that direction that morning. But they pile it up. We usually have about 60 floats. You estimate about 1,800 people on the float. So that's about 1,800 people on the float. But that'd be the only way, unless someone has a better idea.
And this is, I have a question for Brad, and I'll read if there was consideration given to reroute, well, let me say this first. I understand that the route of the parade is determined by the parade captain.
Pretty much, correct.
So the route is to his discretion.
Correct.
So if there were a situation where we sort of asked the captain to seriously consider rerouting the parade away from Main Street, that's an option. And to Brad, my question to you is, and hypothetically, if the captain happened to say, I won't do that, then is there some kind of enforcement that the council can agree to say, you know what, not a problem. It will be an ordinance that is eliminated. The parade route cannot pass downtown. And I know that sounds extreme, but I'm just throwing some options out there.
The answer to your question is, right now, no. And here's why, in my opinion. Because you have an ordinance in place that says that a parade route must turn at a certain place at a certain time, can't go past this mark. If you have no law in place that says you have to do that, then you don't have any laws to dictate that to a Mardi Gras parade.
But we could.
Unless you could, yeah, you certainly could pass an ordinance to do that, yeah, if you wanted to do that, sure.
If the council, and I'm sharing this with my fellow members, if the council found it necessary to ensure the safety and well-being of not only the youth that we know have been drinking illegally, but also the safety of our law enforcement community, and also to ensure that our business communities are able the next day to just open their door and continue with their business instead of having to clean up damages as if a war came through Church Point. Brad, could that be possible?
I would say yes, I would say it's possible, but I will tell you this, as most attorneys won't tell you, I will have to look to make sure, but I'm fairly certain that you have an ordinance that guides the parade routes, and you can't pick and choose which one you're going to do. I'll tell you that. It's all for one for all.
You mean all parades?
I would think so.
I don't know. I don't know, and people may
There's a very
disagree.
good reason
Well,
why.
people may disagree. People may disagree. But unlike other parades, we don't face the damages to the business community. We don't hear law enforcement officers coming in here saying, I fear my life for the Christmas parade. So I don't think it's fair. We're not comparing apples to apples. I don't think it's fair to say that one parade versus all the others. We clearly know there is no other parade that runs through Main Street that leaves the town in a disarray. So I think if we did it, we could do it based on an exception to protect three entities that I just described. And actually, to be honest, after hearing what some of the people have said, I personally feel kind of liable if we don't do something.
Don't direct it to Brad. Brad just advised him.
The last couple of years, I did work with the street department, and I tell you what, flash, forward flash.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Coleman. What if some people would blame the people who are watching the parade and not the participants in the Mardi Gras ride? What would you say to that?
And I know the last few years, I tell you, a lot of people that been parking on Main Street, they've been trailers, and this and that, and shooting, even people that done that cold, on the side of the road, which I think they're not gonna take care of their own track.
And one last point. I don't think we need to sit here and act like this open container ordinance has always been the case. Okay? If you look back and research historically, it wasn't always the case. There wasn't always an open container law. Because, as a councilman, I would be very concerned if the community of Church Point always advocated for juveniles to drink and just fall out drunk. And I would be concerned as a councilman if the community of Church Point always kind of like gave the thumbs up and allowed it to be okay for strangers to come into our community, tear up our businesses, threaten the very well-being of our law enforcement officers, then leave, and we're saying, that's what we're here for. I would be concerned if that were the case. But what we know is just the opposite.
Can I say?
Yes, sir.
I'll take 1 minute. The open container. It's lifting the open container law. Here's what happened. We had it downtown, and we lifted the open container law for downtown. We no longer do that downtown thing with Mardi Gras. So we don't lift the open container law. The open container law is a law. You're not supposed to drink a beer, a can, a bottle, or a bottle of whiskey. There's an open container law in the town of Church Point.
So
if you have an alcoholic beverage, it should be in a cup.
So it's not listed for Mardi Gras. Okay,
Okay,
then I think that makes it even easier to make a decision, because what's been happening is there's been a consistent violation of the law for the last few years.
For the last 56 years.
Should it be 57?
Well, if you stop and think about it, it's not only the people watching the parades, but you got 1,800 people on the floats drinking Jello shots, beer. That's open container when they're coming through town.
I understand. I think Mr. Bellard probably said it best as the principal of the high school when he said, he made the reference that if kids are fighting, what do? You say, well, you're fighting. Or you, as adults, and as having a moral responsibility to the school, to the kids, and for our job to the community, or do we say, you know what, let's stop this before an incident that occurred with a baby getting run over, before someone actually shoots someone or whatever. Let's stop it now. Let's curb this now and start making it more responsible.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mayor. I appreciate it.
Okay, that ends our public forum. We're going to move now to the public hearing.